Is she playing for third? Is she playing for VP? Because I think this is a very interesting question. And let me tell you, I think if you really think hard about Nikki Haley and how this could go, right? One of the things I talked about in the piece is how she's the top of the tier of the meh middle, right? The lame reruns of people, the Pences, the Pompeos,
Cruz,
Chris Christie, whatever. She's at the top of that tier. And so I could actually see her running where DeSantis and Trump are kind of going head to head. I'm not saying this is definitely the scenario, but I could see this scenario playing out. Where Trump actually, he's attacking DeSantis relentlessly, but he's helping Nikki, right? He's being kind of nice to Nikki. You know why? Because she's taking vote share from DeSantis. And so, she's eating into him. She's getting, as Tim calls it, a gentle, womanly 10, 12% maybe, especially in New Hampshire, right? So we've got the Iowa caucuses, and let's say DeSantis and Trump are both in the low 30s, high 20s. She's coming in third with double digits, low double digits somewhere.
John Edwards territory.
Here's her play, right? The next state up is South Carolina, her home state, where she was a 2-term governor. Now, I don't think she wins her state in this scenario. But why doesn't Trump or DeSantis, they need her 10%, and they're going into her home turf, and there's 2 weeks. There's 2 long weeks between New Hampshire and South Carolina. Why isn't at that point somebody cutting a deal with Nikki Haley for VP? And I was floating this scenario in the Bulwark Slack, and I think it was Amanda was saying, I don't know what does Nikki Haley get you? But I guess it hasn't been going on long enough for me to say that it's a trend, but it used to be when the populists were the recessive gene of the party, as Charlie puts it, that you gave them the recessive job. You gave the VP to Sarah Palin, and the normie, serious person, John McCain, was on the top. Well, that could be reversed now, where your establishment candidate, your Mike Pence, that's a VP slot, because you're the junior player on this team now, right? We're in control, MAGA's in control. And so why isn't she that establishment VP?
I can answer that. So,
okay.
I think that she's thinking like this. I don't know this. This is not reporting. But I sense that she's thinking like Sarah is thinking right now, with maybe a little bit of additional dollop of wish casting that maybe, things can turn up Nikki for the top of the ticket. But I think that this is a key part of the strategy. Here's why I'm not sure that works. Number one is I think that she only helps Trump. And I don't think Trump will pick her. Right. If you're in that 2 weeks with DeSantis, that is a risky move, actually, to add Nikki to the ticket right before South Carolina. That could end up signaling to the MAGA voters that he's a Yale Rhino phony cuck, and actually help Trump. I know that this is where people's brains are broken. Like the notion that a Nikki endorsement might hurt somebody in South Carolina. It might. I mean, Nikki did endorse Marco last time, and it didn't help him that much. It didn't deliver very much, yeah. Right? So, and DeSantis is going to be in this very fragile position, right, where he wants to be more electable, but he can't be seen as a phony, inauthentic MAGA. So I don't know that she helps him. So would she definitely help Trump? Right, because Trump is MAGA, and so he doesn't have to worry about that authenticity question, and what he needs is help with the electability question. But is Trump really going to pick her after he went through with Pence? Find that hard to believe. Would she want to be Trump's VP? Who the fuck knows? I guess so. That's insane to me, but I guess she would. So that I think is and then the other element to this, just as you game this out, is let's just look at the recent past. Kamala almost lost VP over her one mean thing to Biden. Had Kamala stayed around longer, she probably wouldn't have gotten VP, right? Had she done a couple more debates where she was going toe to toe with Biden, she probably would have gotten VP. Pence was from off the table, right? You mentioned Palin. Palin was not McCain did not pick Mitt Romney or Tim Pawlenty. Obama did pick Biden, but Biden didn't even really count. He's at the 1%. That he didn't pick. He didn't pick Hillary, right? There's very few examples looking back of the winner choosing the person that was like a real thorn in their side. Kerry Edwards,
Reagan,
I guess,
and Bush.
And Bush. Kerry Edwards, Reagan, Bush. Maybe I'm forgetting one, but those are the two that come straight to mind. It's not impossible, but it's a lot harder of you got to walk this tightrope, right? Where you're competitive enough to, seem viable and seem like you're additive, but you're not so competitive that like the feelings are hurt and they can't pay. You know what I mean? So I just think that for those two reasons, the fact that she might hurt DeSantis in some ways and that it's a tough thing. I think that she's thinking that. I agree with that, but I do think that's a pretty challenge. I wouldn't put any money on it, I guess what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, also from Trump's perspective, having seen what happens when you have a normie vice president and you need him to do a coup for you and he refuses to do it, I cannot believe that Trump would pick another normie, right? I have to believe that if Trump were to be the nominee, he will get somebody who he views as a pure loyalist, a button man, like a Carrie Lake or an MTG or somebody like that. Maybe this is incorrect.
No. Well, I think that makes sense in like a global way. I think the question is like sometimes you can make weird decisions. If you're locked in a dead heat, Trump versus DeSantis, you're going into Nikki Haley's state and you're thinking, what gives me the advantage to pop out into, because the thing about this is why I'm going to keep harping on the calendar. The calendar is going to cause weird dynamics where you're popping out. South Carolina and Nevada are on the same day. They're on the same day. And if you recall, Trump was living in the 30s in these states and then like popped in Nevada and then rolled with that momentum into the March 5th Super Tuesday. This is assuming the calendar stays the same, where like you can lock up so many delegates on that day. So that momentum popping out of the South Carolina, Nevada is like so important. I guess that's where I see they could do some weird things. Like I understand your points are all correct. I think I just could see like in that 2 weeks, suddenly people being like, I don't know, man, we got to lock this up. We got to put distance. We got to do something but Tim's point about like whether or not she's a liability, I think that's possible. In some ways, I think we maybe shouldn't over-interpret, though, the MAGA-ness of a lot of this audience. Like, there's a really deep MAGA strain. It's a dominant one, but there's, like, plenty of establishment MAGA, normie MAGA, soft MAGA, maybe MAGA, that I think can shift things.
Hope you enjoyed that clip of The Next Level. You can watch the full episode if you click the link down below. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button and leave a comment. Tell us what you think too. Bye.